Remember this? It's a nickel. It's presumably made of nickel. And it's got a beaver on it. That means it's Canadian. So why are we all standing around watching while the workers who pulled this nickel out of the ground are getting shafted by a Brazilian corporate criminal? As I rant, in a northern town called Sudbury, Vale Inco is using scabs and paid thugs to bust a legal strike just like in the good old days. Why did this strike happen? Because virtually the first thing Vale does on arrival in Canada is demand cuts to its workers' pensions, productivity pay, and wages. Why does Vale need these concessions? Well, Canadian workers are paid more than Brazilian workers, don't you know? Duh! Nobody raised this at the Foreign Investment Review Agency lunch? You know, when Vale made the empty promises over aperitifs and had the green light to buy the company by dessert. Vale bought Inco in 2006. They promised no layoffs for 3 years. The operation immediately provided record returns, namely US $4.1 billion profit in 2 years on a $19 billion investment. Vale's global operations earned US $13.2 billion profit last year. So naturally, in 2009, they laid off nearly 700 Canadian workers. Vale loves the Canadian business environment. Vale also likes to give something back to the real environment. Vale Inco owns the podium for Canada's top polluters, ranking silver and bronze in the Release of Toxins event. Yet Vale continues to brazenly lobby the government for emission exemptions and license to shove its waste into a virgin Newfoundland lake. Steve Ball, Vale's local mouthpiece, says, "If we're not successful, we will see this operation slowly wind down because one way to reduce emissions is to cut back production." Boo-hoo! Caveat emptor, Stevie. Stop bawling about the emission standards. You knew that when you bought the company. And enough with the job blackmail. Your workers have already voted on your last bullshit offer. 8 months on the line and 90% still said stick it. Vale's been fined millions for environmental violations in their native Brazil. Fines against them include a US $3 million fine for illegal sale of rainforest timber and a US $3.5 million fine for a toxic spill/fish kill. Nice. But maybe no one told them they had to run the business in Canada without clear-cutting, sending sulfur up the stack, and dumping effluent in the nearest body of water. How could they know that mining companies usually leave Canada to do business that way? And their business community treats them like they're the David Suzuki of mining corporations. Last December, Vale CEO Roger Agnelli received the Dwight D. Eisenhower Global Citizenship Award from the Business Council for International Understanding. The prize was for exceptional accomplishments in corporate social responsibility. Newsflash! The Business Council for International Understanding has just been renamed. It's now the Business Council for Don't Know What Time It Is. So, I gotta ask, corporations are people under the law, right? This corporation's got a criminal record, right? And they're definitely not of good character. So who's the moron that let them into my country? I hope immigration authorities are doing their due diligence better than the Harper government. This is one where I actually agree with the scribblers at Sun Media. I don't think common criminals should be allowed into Canada. So who fell asleep at the border crossing when Vale rolled into Dodge? I'll tell you who. It was Tony Eagle Eye Clement. Yep. That's the same Tony that got dumped by Brampton for the dumb P3 hospital that cost 3 times the initial estimate. That's the same Tony whose government sold the brand new 407 toll highway to the Spanish for a bag of churros. Tony couldn't negotiate a tall boy at a beer store. He had to run for office from his cottage because no one who knew him would ever vote for him again. So, come on, Tony. Fess up and admit you let a lying criminal jump the queue. We understand it was a mistake. But call someone and get Vale on the first Air Canada flight back to Sao Paulo. Preferably cuffed to a couple of Mounties with tasers. I hate to have to play the Canada card. Actually, no I don't. When fellow Canadians are being abused by foreign corporations, that's exactly when I should dig deep for my nationalistic ire. Vale, you're in the Great White North now. We try to keep our lakes clean and our workers fed when they retire. When people do a dangerous job deep in the earth digging ore, or buy a hot furnace smelting it, we believe they deserve a good wage. When product price goes up and you make more coin, your workers should get a few extra nickels too. And if you don't like it, then Vale Go Home. Or better yet, be a good corporate citizen in Canada, like you promised, and then do the right thing in Brazil too. We'll all do better in the long run. I'm Humberto da Silva, and not Rex Murphy.